What up nerds, I'm Jay Sharif and I own a lot of tripods, including many that you can't see right now, but it's time for an upgrade to an Octopod. What's that? It's not an it's an Octopad. What's an Octopad? So this is going to be a much shorter video than usual. A couple of weeks ago I was looking for a brand new tabletop tripod. I've got a very heavy camcorder which I use to film these videos, and I usually put it on a standard large tripod, but when you're working in limited space like the studio slash spare room, then that big tripod limits where you could put the camera. A small tripod gives you a lot more versatility. I definitely wasn't going to buy a gorilla pod. I know lots of YouTubers swear by it, but it's weak and it's flimsy, and in all honesty all my smaller tripods are weak and flimsy. They're not designed for big devices and there's always a danger of them falling over and damaging your expensive equipment. And my research suggested that was going to be true of pretty much all small tripods. And then I came across something called the Octopad, which promises to be much more stable and versatile than any mini tripod. And it has arrived in this slightly damaged looking Amazon box. That can't be good. Let's open it up. Right. Knife, as usual, terrifying. Shouldn't let me have access to these kinds of things. Careful, careful. Right, so this is it. The Octopad looks kind of dusty. Who knows how long they've had it in the warehouse. It is unopened though, so that's a positive. Luckily it's packed in a way that if you had opened it, that would show. Which means that once I do open it, no sending it back. So as you can see, it's basically a heavy base onto which you can put your camera, your lights, your smartphone, a microphone, whatever you want. And because it's quite weighted, it has a lower center of gravity, therefore less likely to tip over. Let's open it up and see whether it's as good as it's billed to be. Trusty, scary knife is too blunt to open the packaging. This knife is too blunt to open the packaging. That's astonishing. I'm going to have to get a pair of scissors or something. Ugh, why do they make these things so difficult to get into? And you have to damage the packaging when you do. What's wrong with like a cardboard box? Ugh. Oh, that's very annoying. This is a workout. I'm sweating. It's a workout trying to open this up. I need to go to the gym today. Yeah, I can't fool you, can I, with that statement? Well, I never go to the gym. Ugh. Used to though. Used to love going to the gym. Right. Right, so right, so this is it. The Octopad. It's basically just a very, very heavy base. This little ball head that you put onto here. And in theory, it's supposed to be better than any tabletop tripod. The idea is that this has a much lower center of gravity than any tabletop tripod, which means it won't really tip over. It's got this little attachment so you can take it with you, and if you're mountain climbing or something like that, which we all do regularly I'm sure, then this little piece will let you attach it to your backpack or a carabiner. I believe that's what it's called. Here is a little Velcro bit so that you can put loose cables here and secure them in place. I do like that. It probably is much better as an option for me than any tabletop tripod would have been. So it's supposed to have a non-slip base so that once it's on a surface, it'll take a hell of a lot to move it or make it fall over. I mean, it is very hard to pull that along. And because of that, it's supposed to be something that you can put at an angle, like on a rock or a roof or something, and it will not slip down. Yeah, that really is quite difficult to move. And I'm having to really force it to get it to move. So I can believe that. What I should do now is test it out in the real world and see if this works as well as advertised. Let's take it outside. I started with a very simple test, basically putting the Octopad and my heavy camcorder on a slightly sloping surface. As you can see, it didn't have any trouble, and to be fair, neither did my GoPro mini tripod. Next up, a bit more of a challenge, I put both of them on the roof of my shed, which is about a 45-degree angle. The camera sitting on top of the Octopad weighs about 650 grams, that's almost 1.5 pounds, and not for a second was I worried that it would fall, whereas the GoPro would probably have fallen over in a light breeze. This is not at all stable. Finally, just for fun, I decided to put both of them on my garden swing. Keep in mind that my heavy camcorder weighs about 8 times as much as the GoPro. This really was taking a bit of a risk. But there was absolutely zero chance of the Octopad slipping. It seemed absolutely rooted in place. And again, to be fair, the GoPro tripod coped well. It was slowly slipping, and after a minute or two, it probably would have fallen off. And if it was holding a heavier camera, it would never have lasted this long. So there we have it. Yes, it absolutely does do the job it's supposed to do. It can hold up reasonably heavy cameras, and it can also be placed at an angle on various surfaces and it won't tip over, which is not something that any tripod that I know of can really claim. So yes, Octopad, highly recommended. Later, nerds.